So today, rather than speak about the gospel reading, which I'll mention, I'm going to talk about the epistle reading, because a lot of times nobody really hears what the reader is saying there, and they listen to the gospel, but not necessarily to the epistle. So every once in a while, it's a good idea to speak about what we hear at the epistle stand. All right? And today I wanted to speak about this one in particular because it affects the vast majority of people who refer to themselves as Christians. All right? And myself, having been included in this until I was enlightened through the seminary, and I'm just going to read the line here. In Paul speaking to the Ephesians, okay, he says, "For by grace you have been saved through faith, and this is not of your own doing, it is not because of works." And so this is a very famous Protestant verse. Now, actually, the more famous one is in Romans, where it says, "Therefore, we are justified by faith, and we have peace through God, through our Lord Christ." So that's a very popular thing because it's very easy. So Christ has done the work. I admit that. So I'm off the hook. I've been justified by faith, and I don't have to do works. So basically, I'm good. So there's really nothing I need to do, So church becomes kind of an obligation. Yeah, it's good to go to church, but hey, it's okay, it's nice, but it doesn't affect my salvation because Romans here told me I'm good. I'm justified through faith. Do I have faith? Pretty much, okay? So the problem becomes is that many times the Protestants will treat that as a singular moment in time. Again, I'm not speaking for all Protestants, but a singular moment in time that I have been saved. Christ has done the work, ergo I am saved. But in Ephesians now, Paul goes a little bit deeper, okay? And he says, "For grace you have been saved through faith, not of your own doing." But here the saving is a little bit different. It's much closer to what the Holy Fathers of the Church, the St. John Chrysostom's and the Basils and the Gregories, what they said, which is, "I was saved through the work of Christ, but I am currently being saved, and I hope for my salvation." So in Ephesians, we have more of the fuller picture, which is this is an ongoing work that must happen. So sometimes we get caught in the idea that Christianity means being good. So if I am good, then I am saved. So we pat ourselves on the back with a lot of the good works that we do, and we feel good about those things. I know I've in the past I've done that. If I give a couple of bucks to a homeless guy in the street, I feel good about that. And what do we hear in this? Your salvation is not dependent upon that, lest you boast. It says right there, lest you boast. And that's what I would do. I'd help this guy out, and I'd say, "Hey, there you go. See what a good guy I am?" So that's buying me, as my father used to say, that's getting me tickets to heaven. So when I asked my father, I says, "Hey," after I became priest, I said, "Hey, Dad, now that I'm a priest, do you want to come to church with me?" He goes, "Nah." He says, "I got enough tickets to get into heaven. I'm good." So this is kind of how we think about church, is we treat it more as an obligation. In fact, unfortunately, many times in the Catholic Church, you will hear that. A day of obligation. The Orthodox Church has never seen it as that. You come here out of your own free will. But in order to fully enter into the church, you got to know why you're here. Okay? If you are coming here as an obligation, Meaning that, well, it's important that I bring my kids. Or, hey, I heard that, they're going to have some memorials, so I know coffee hour is going to be loaded. So that's a good reason to come too. Those are not reasons to come to church. The reason to come, sure, bring your kids. That's good. Yes. Kids should grow up in the church. But what about yourself? If you believe, as I did, that your good works will get you into heaven, then you are sadly mistaken, because St. Paul no less than 6 times says you are not saved through works. Now, the question then becomes, so what's the point? So as long as I have faith, I could do whatever I want, right? No. The answer is, the way the Orthodox Church will state it, is when you have faith, when you believe that your salvation is a gift from God, then you will want to do those good works. So now, when you see the guy on the street, it's not out of obligation that you give it to him so that you feel better about yourself, lest no man should boast. But now you do it out of a love that that person is, just like you, the image and likeness of God. And when that work comes out of love, that's not the work that St. Paul is talking about. St. Paul is talking about quid pro quo. I do something nice, I better get something back. I can't tell you how many times I've heard it, and a lot of times, unfortunately, I've suffered the same thing. I give somebody something, and then I turn around later on and ask for the favor, and they don't give it to me. And I'm like, hey, I just loaned you $100. Now you come, now I ask you for a favor, now you got nothing? Come on, I know you're loaded. You're driving around in a Mercedes. You can't afford to give me $10. I'm doing it not because I wanted to give that money. I'm doing it because I want to boast. And this is what this is what St. Paul's letter to the Ephesians is telling us, is that if we have to look at how we're doing the good works that we do, when we are doing them out of love, meaning that we expect nothing in return, then these are the good works that not will get us saved, but will show the light of Christ within us. And that's what we have to get past, is the idea that being good and good works are those things that get us saved. What gets us saved is the redeeming work of Christ. And then from that love, then comes our desire to do good works.